Welcome back, everyone. I'm Don Cravins Jr., Executive Director of the National Urban League's Washington Bureau, and this is your Washington Update and the top 3 things you need to know. Capitol Hill is buzzing after several articles over the past few weeks have come out regarding the lack of diversity among top Senate staff at the United States Senate. The Joint Center for Economic Studies released a report last year which found that out of 336 top Senate staffers, only 24 of them are people of color. And of that 24, only 2 of them are African American. And those 2 staffers work for Republican members of the Senate. So what does that mean? That means there are no Democratic U.S. senators who have an African American chief of staff, or an African American legislative director, or an African American communications director. Now, as a former chief of staff in the United States Senate, and the only African American chief of staff at that time, I've seen firsthand the effect that a lack of diversity among senior staffers can have on the legislative process and on our laws. This is not a partisan issue, nor is it simply a moral issue. It's an issue of creating good public policy on behalf of minority communities. Our government, our senators, must be representative of the people they serve by ensuring that all of our communities have a seat at the table. The National Urban League will continue to call for all current and newly elected senators to consider qualified African American candidates from the vast talent pool that exists. And on January 5th of 2017 at 12:30 p.m., the National Urban League will host a panel luncheon to elevate the importance of this discussion on Capitol Hill and to offer solutions to address full minority representation in the United States Senate and elsewhere. We invite you to join us in the Hart Senate Office Building, room 902, for this important discussion. To follow our actions on this issue, be sure to follow us on Twitter at NULPolicy or the hashtag Senate Staff Diversity. To learn more about the lack of staff diversity in the Senate, view my appearance on Roland Martin's News One Now and the Joint Center's report entitled Racial Diversity Among Top Senate Staff, linked below. The United States Congress has passed a continuing resolution to fund the government until April 28th, but it wasn't all smooth sailing. After a contentious back and forth, with some Senate Democrats threatening to block the continuing resolution over demands for increased retired minors' health insurance coverage, the Senate did come together on the brink of a government shutdown to pass the measure 63-36. While avoiding a government shutdown is in the best interest of the country, Congress's insistence on operating from continuing resolution to continuing resolution and its unwillingness to negotiate when it matters to pass an omnibus spending bill is setting a dangerous precedent for our budget process. The National Urban League will continue to advocate for budget priorities which support the programs we execute and the communities we serve. Well, as 2016 draws to a close, and we are left with much uncertainty over the coming year, one thing you can count on is that the National Urban League will be right beside you in the fight for affordable housing, access to jobs, a living wage and good benefits, combating the health disparities that plague our communities, and promoting policies that empower our communities and change lives. The National Urban League served more than 2.8 million people last year through our after-school programs, college-bound initiatives, early childhood literacy, job training and placement, housing counseling, and health care programs. But we didn't do it alone. We have you and your support to thank for partnering with us. In the spirit of the holiday season, we ask that you do your part in helping us to protect the progress we've made. We know that with your help, we can face 2017 head on and continue to create opportunities for our communities. Follow the link below to make a donation. And on behalf of all of us here at the National Urban League's Washington Bureau, thank you and have a happy and safe holiday season.